Hi, my name is Zachary Donnelly. I am the band director over at Chatterton Middle School and Fitzgerald Public Schools, and I'm here today to tell you how to put together a clarinet, show you what's inside the clarinet case, and how to make your first sounds. So let's get started. You are getting a clarinet right now, and it looks like this. When you open the case, you want to make sure your latches are down on the table, otherwise you'll open it upside down. You just flick those latches open, and the case will open for you. Inside of the case, you're going to see all these little pieces, all these shiny silver pieces. You'll also have all these little things on the side here. I'm going to explain what these are. When you get your rental from A&G, you'll have a swab. We'll talk about that later. You'll have some cork grease, and you'll receive your first two reeds. Now, reeds are these little pieces of wood that actually vibrate and make the sound on the clarinet. Now, when you first open up your case, you are going to have a whole bunch of pieces. You'll have a couple pieces that have a bunch of buttons on them. They're called your left and right hand joints. You'll have a couple pieces that do not have buttons on them. This is your barrel. This is your bell. And then the very top of the clarinet is your mouthpiece. It comes with a cap and a ligature. The ligature is this little shiny silver piece. Okay? When putting together your clarinet for the first time, I take the two right and left hand joints out of the case, and it looks like they could go together a couple different ways. What you want to look for is this little teardrop on the back of the smaller piece, the left hand joint. You're going to make that teardrop cry down onto the thumb rest here on the back of the right hand joint. When you see the teardrop crying down onto the thumb rest, you can then start to push and twist at the same time. You don't want to just push, and you'll have that on there. If you have any difficulties when trying to push your instrument together, twisting it on, you're going to use this thing called cork grease that was in your case with all the pieces. Lots of kids see this and think, ooh, chapstick, it's going to help me play better. Not for your face. You want to twist a little bit of the cork grease up. I take my finger and I wipe it on the cork grease, and then I will wipe it on the corks. That way you don't get any excess, anything you don't need on your instrument. Now that I have cork grease on there, you can just twist and push, and it goes on much easier. Okay? Next, I go to my bell. My bell will go underneath the thumb rest on the back. Okay? Same kind of motion, pushing and twisting. Once you have your bell on, you can take your barrel out, and you can do the same thing. When you put your barrel on, you do not want to be holding on to the bottom hand joint, otherwise it could make the whole clarinet twist, and you don't want that. So hold on to the top hand joint, and just push and twist once more, applying cork grease as needed when it is ever difficult to do that. Okay, I'm going to close the case, put that over here for now. Oops. Now, we're at the mouthpiece part of it. Usually when I'm putting my clarinet together and I'm not having to talk to a camera, I will have a reed in my mouth the whole time. That's the first thing I do when I open up my case. So I'm going to do that right now. Now that my reed is nice and wet, I am going to put it back in my mouth, but I'm going to put the mouthpiece onto my instrument. The mouthpiece should be, the opening of the mouthpiece should be right above the teardrop shape on the back of the right hand or the left hand joint. Okay? Once again, whenever you put a new piece on, you want to grab onto the piece right below it so it doesn't twist the entire clarinet. Now, the reed is attached to the clarinet with the with the ligature onto the mouthpiece. The ligature will be here, and the reed will be right underneath it. What you want to do is line up the reed, the tip of the reed with the tip of the mouthpiece, right on top of that hole. There's a flat side to the reed and there's a bumped side to the reed. You want that flat side of the reed to be touching the flat side of the mouthpiece. Okay? When you think you've got it on there pretty securely, you hold it down with one thumb, and then you get your ligature back out. If you put your ligature on and it's upside down, it will not go on all the way. You want to turn it around and make sure the screws point to the right while you look at them. And you can slide that all the way down as far as it will go. Before you adjust the tightness of the ligature, there's still a little bit of wiggle room with your reed here. You can use your two thumbs and just wiggle that into place until you have it in the exact right spot. And then you just tighten the two screws. Now, the way to hold your clarinet. You've got two hands, it has two hand joints. Your right hand is going to go onto the bottom of the clarinet. The thumb rest is on the back. Your thumb will go underneath it. This right hand thumb will actually hold up the majority of the weight of the clarinet. Okay, when you turn the clarinet around, you'll see these three circles. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, your first finger, your middle finger, and your ring finger will go onto those keys. And then your pinky will be responsible to play all 4 of these notes down here way later. Now on your left hand, it will go on top. It's got a key in the back here, underneath the teardrop. You'll put your thumb on that key in the back. And then if you turn around, you'll have those same 3 circles, 1, 2, and 3, for your first finger, middle finger, and ring finger. Okay? So every one of your fingers except for your pinkies should be covering up a hole. Okay? That's how it should look when you have it held properly. Now, to make your first sound, we're going to use just the mouthpiece and the barrel for now. Once again, twisting and pulling. When you have just your mouthpiece and barrel out, you will be able to make a sound on it still, you don't just need the whole instrument. So, when you put the mouthpiece in your mouth, your top teeth are going to go on top of the mouthpiece. Okay? Your bottom lip will go onto the wooden part, the reed. And you want to have a very, very firm bottom lip. So your corner should be tight. You have a firm bottom lip. That's what it could sound like when you first get your clarinet out, when you first start playing on the mouthpiece. Lots of people will squeak a couple times, and that's completely normal. When you have that firm embouchure and that teeth on top of the mouthpiece, you will get a good clarinet sound. Once again. Okay? Your lip on top will cover up your teeth, but your teeth should still be touching the top of the mouthpiece. Now, when we put it back onto the clarinet, once again, hold the piece we're pushing it onto. You will have a lot more you can do. Getting your hands in the right spots. And that is what a clarinet sounds like and how to play it. You use the same embouchure with the whole clarinet as you do with just the mouthpiece. And we go from there. Okay, now I'm going to teach you how to swab out your clarinet. We're going to use this fun little swab that came in your case and how to correctly put it away. So, to start, I always take my reed off first because the reed is the most fragile part of this instrument and it will break quickly. So I unscrew my ligature while still holding on to my reed. I take the ligature off and I slide my reed off carefully. I find my reed case and I put my reed right back into it. Okay? Never, ever, ever, ever leave your reed on your mouthpiece. After that, I will take out my swab. You'll have these two pieces. You have the weight of the swab and you have the actual swab itself. When you are swabbing out your instrument, it is just about as long as your instrument. So, you're going to take your clarinet. I like to put it upside down and put the swab in the bottom of the clarinet. And you just drop that down, and at the other end you'll see the metal piece come out. Okay? And then you just kind of pull and twist it back up. And you just keep doing that until it's all the way through the entire instrument. Okay? If it gets stuck in there, please do not keep yanking. You don't want to just yank, yank, yank. If it's stuck in there and you can't gently pull it out, you want to twist it apart and pull it back through by the swab. Pull the weight back out the other end, okay? And then try again with the swab going through. And you want to do that a couple times. Just put the weight in the bottom. And go through. And then hold it from the top of the instrument and gently tuck it out, okay? Once you're done with that, you can start taking your instrument apart and putting it back in the case. Once again, you want to open your case up so that the latches are going to point downwards. Never ever have your case on your lap when you open it. That's a recipe for disaster. And then I take my clarinet apart from the bottom going up. So I go from the bell first, once again twisting and pulling, to the right hand joint, twisting, pulling. The case has very specific ways that you want to put your instrument back into it. Like if I put the right hand joint in the wrong way, it would not close. So if you're trying to close your case and it sits like this, make sure that you check and make sure everything is in the right spots, okay? There's little divots for everything. Once again, twisting and pulling. Twisting and pulling. And then for the mouthpiece, you want to have the ligature back on it. You're going to put the cap back on it without the reed. And then you're going to leave that in the case. Everything else has a nice little compartment over on the right here. My right, your left. You're going to wrap your swab back up. Throw that in the case. Latch it securely. And then you're good to go.